crazy bad. Everybody trying to get back to their cars or get in, places where they, wouldn't get all extra wet. Dude was sitting up under the tent, right? He was on his phone, right? My daughters was up under the same goddamn tent. Yeah. So I'm paying attention to my kids, but at the same time, they're in the same vicinity, so I'm watching everything going on around it because I'm there for my children. So, dude walks up, McKellen, bro, he wasn't even under the tent at the time. They came from a whole separate tent and walked over there. They intentionally went over there to this kid, man. Dude was sitting there on his phone just trying to get dry. You feel me? One thing went from another. They grabbed this man and they tried to punch on dude. Dude went in his bag and they went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened. Yeah. It wasn't just one. It was both of them, bro. Austin, the dude that got unalive, and his brother physically went over there to intentionally. It's not to the point that he brought a knife. For one, it wasn't on school property. The school is at least 5 to 10 miles away. It was community track meet, bruh.
I thought that
Manslaughter. Guilty of manslaughter. They're saying guilty of manslaughter.
Y'all are trash! Y'all are trash! Y'all are trash!
when the verdict was read.
I feel like it was designed to protect white people, the system, and it was not designed to protect black people. It's self-defense.
But I got kids. I got black kids. 35 for defending myself? It's not right. And we all know why it's not right. It's just not right. I'm hurt.
From everything that has been put out in regards to this case, I feel like more so with the jury that he had amongst what is supposed to be his peers, they weren't going to look at actual facts of the situation. They were going off of emotions and color. And unfortunately with that, he wasn't going to get a fair fight.
We already got the money set aside for appeals bond. Why? All white jury, the judge and the DA are buddies, along with the dad, best friends.
Clear enough, or was it fuzzy, or what?
No, it was clear. It was okay. It's clear enough to where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the camera.
Okay.
That's how clear it is. You actually see them walking up. You see that Karmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business.
Dodging the rain, or
yeah, it was still raining. You know,
right.
I'm from Little Rock, so that day we were under a tornado watch.
Right.
And we were under thunderstorm warning, and we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again. Then it was over with for the day.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already, and so during that time when that happened, the twins, their two buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them, they were all coming from the direction of the middle school, coming walking back up.
Right.
On the video, you can see those 4 that actually was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to the coach and kind of distract them a little bit. And then the other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past.
Right.
The other 4 went and they surrounded Karmelo. You know, if you're Karmelo.
And they showed that on that video.
It's on the video.
Okay, come on.
You can see them walk
I'm going
up.
to say little stuff.
I'll put it this way.
Okay.
They actually tell you when you're watching the video, pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look anywhere else, you might miss different things.
Okay.
So watch those 4. Here they're 4 right there coming up.
Right.
That's exactly what they say.
Okay.
And so you have no way to be confused that it's those 4.
Okay.
So they come up, they surround them, and this immediate moment of not even a few seconds of pause, then that's when they jump. And so
they actually did jump him.
Yeah, it wasn't just no touch. It wasn't just all that moment. Yeah, it was a push. It was all kind of things. But Austin pushed, Hunter hit, and then everybody swung. But at the same time,
So it was more than the twins that got some licks
all
on
4.
So it showed that in the video.
Yes, in the video. So again, you got Hunter and Austin standing in the middle.
Okay.
And you have the light bright boy here, and you have the darker boy here.
Okay.
I think that's what I remember. So I have to go back and think about it. But that's where they were. One was going up and down while they were talking and kind of pushing or whatever he was doing. Austin and Hunter was in front. So where they're talking about grabbing bags, Hunter actually said that I grabbed his bag.
Right.
And then later on, he said that Austin threw the bag.
Okay.
Jeff also said the same thing. And so that's them both antagonizing. And we know under Texas law, I just have the fear that you're about to do something to me and you can get up out of here. Yeah, so you don't have to touch me. But at that point, he still stood there and stopped there. And whatever they say alleged was said, you don't know that until they get into it here. But once they did that, they started hitting him. Karmelo actually was able to back out and try to get away. So he was actually trying to get away the first time. Austin grabbed him, and you can see his hoodie coming out like this, and they brought him back in.
Okay.
And when they brought him back in, that's when you can see Austin put him in a headlock. You can see that all the rest of them are still hitting. That must be when the poke happened, because he was able to get out again. He backed out. He looked to the right. That's where the other little kid was filming, because they got some cell phone footage too. But that's where he was filming. He looked directly at him in his camera, and then he went this way to the left. He went down. He fell. And that's when they realized he was gone, because they were still punching. And when he fell, that's when they all turned around. They started chasing him. Austin tried to go chase him too, but he grabbed his chest. I guess he realized that something happened to him. And that's when he went down. But all three of them was chasing. But Karmelo was so fast, he got away and went around to the coach. And so you can see them on the video pointing toward Karmelo and the coach. And I can imagine, because Karmelo's out of the camera on that moment, that he was telling the coach what happened. And then that's when Hunter said he whipped his head around. That's a true statement. He just wasn't sitting with it. He whipped his head around. You see him on the video. And that's when he walked over to where Austin was, but he never touched him. So all that stuff about him rendering aid and holding his heart, and he never did that, because the coach grabbed him and he was holding him. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where the moment went. But they did assault him, and we'll just play the game. Even if it was just a push, you still assaulted him, because it was unwanted. By your own definition in your word of him saying that leave me alone and I'm not going, you assaulted him, period. But they did beat him. And if you look at the, not the photo that Fox 4 put out, because that was one that they actually edited. I have the emails to prove it. But the actual Collin County one, you can see the webs and stuff on his eye. You can see the bridge of his nose is swollen. You can see the webs under his neck. And so that's the reason why they edited the one from Fox and kind of airbrushed it, and you can see they put the locks of his hair that got taken out as well.
Reporting about what is going on in the trial of Karmelo Anthony. They're conveniently not going into the details and the inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimony, but luckily I was able to find somebody on Reddit who was actually detailing what each of the witnesses were testifying to. So allow me to paint you the picture of what I believe actually happened. I went through each of the witnesses' testimonies, and it's very clear that not everybody had a clear picture of what happened. So on the day of the stabbing, it started pouring down rain, which caused a delay in the track meet. Very common for athletes, and each of the schools seemingly brought their own tents and set them up so that the people could sit underneath them. Karmelo's coach testified that they did not have a tent, that it was actually coming later with a second bus, and they didn't have enough students to justify bringing a tent at that moment, so they didn't have a place to shelter from the rain. Anthony apparently was friends with one of the kids from the tent. Several people saw he and Anthony dap up, greeting each other, and seemingly Karmelo Anthony, while he was in the tent, made some joke about "y'all are ass," referring to their football team. The friend, who weirdly enough denied kind of how close his relationship was with Karmelo Anthony, said that it was a joke. And by the way, Karmelo Anthony is not only the captain of the track team, but he was also captain of the football team. His senior year had been cut short because he had had an injury, a very severe one, and his shoulder was messed up. He had to wear a sling for part of the year. They also don't mention that Karmelo Anthony was already in the tent before the Metcalf twins entered it. It wasn't until the Metcalf twins came to the tent that they seemed to be the ones who had a problem with him being there. And it's pretty inconsistent across the 9 witnesses from the incident about where Austin's brother even was during this. Some said that he was right next to his brother. Some said that he was in the back of the tent. Some said that he was a couple bleachers down. Witness said that they heard Anthony say, "I'm a nobody," when students were asking why he was under their tent. And there doesn't seem to be any consistency on what the words Anthony was saying. And while they're trying to say that Anthony is the aggressor, the person that he was in there seeing literally thought it was funny, and he took out his phone and pretended to record it. I personally don't believe that. No teenager just pretends to record things, especially since one of the witnesses said that after the incident, students were passing around a phone and looking at Anthony's Instagram page, which doesn't make sense. You wouldn't just pass the phone around. You would just ask for the handle and you would go to his Instagram page. What I think they were passing around was the video. I think there was a video and they deleted it because it would have looked bad on Austin. I say that because this person that Anthony was talking to didn't step up and say to the guys, hey, he's with me, we're just hanging out talking. And Karmelo's lawyer had to show a bunch of photos of the two together hanging out. They even hang out 3 times in a 3-week period, so they knew each other pretty well. It's clear that Austin specifically did not want Anthony in the tent and was ganging up on him. I think they all were, because both Anthony and Metcalf were frustrated and escalated, according to one of the witnesses. And mind you, there is no policy that these kids can't be in each other's tent. And in fact, there are supposed to be coaches at every tent because it's a bunch of teenagers have nothing to do. So where was the adults, in my opinion? And it didn't start out as a big deal because Austin Metcalf sat down on the bleacher in front of Anthony, which sounds honestly aggressive. He came in, he started antagonizing him, he sat down next to him, they started calling each other bitch. And nobody is consistent with the shoving part. Some say it was a small one-handed shove. Another witness said, and I believe this is the true story, that there was minor pushing for a couple of minutes. That both Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony were angry and aggressive. Several witnesses say that they didn't believe Anthony when he was bluffing, that Metcalf and Anthony were frustrated and it escalated, and some called the shove a nudge. And one of the witnesses, turns out, told the cops that Anthony had told a joke and that Metcalf had pushed on Anthony in a lineman move, which is an inward and upward motion. Some of the witnesses said that both of the Metcalf brothers were ganging up on Anthony. And I think these kids have a very skewed perspective of what defending them was, because they said that Anthony said, "You're not going to move me, you're a bitch." The witness told the jurors Austin was defending us. That's not defending you. I think y'all went through a very traumatic effect, and you can't come to terms with the fact that I think your friend was the aggressor. But you can't say that he deserved it. So obviously this guy has to be the perpetrator. It has to be his fault. It has to be a murder. Some of the kids were giving different statements to the police last year, right after it happened, like not mentioning the cursing. Another witness characterized Austin's putting his hands on Karmelo as a warning. The witnesses across the board all pretty much agreed that this lasted 4 to 6 minutes. If someone is harassing you for 4 to 6 minutes, as a woman, I too would be grabbing my backpack and unfolding the blade in there because things were progressing. This witness said that Austin Metcalf tried to force Anthony out. After Metcalf put his hands on him, that's when he got stabbed. If this had been an actual problem and not just a couple of kids bullying the black kid they didn't know under the tent, then they would have gone and gotten an adult that should have fucking been there to begin with. And that is very obvious on cross-examination of a witness when the lawyer said if Anthony and a friend were outside of the tent, what was wrong with that? And the witness, who was also on the football team and was part of this little group, said it was because of the proximity to the tent. But every witness who saw the stabbing said that Karmelo was sitting on the bleachers and that Metcalf was standing up and pushing him. Anthony never got out of his seat. And not only that, the wound and the blade prove that he did not even try to stab him. He just held it out and Austin went on the blade. You know how I know this? Because the blade itself is 3.5 inches long. Everyone said that Austin leaned in to push him and Karmelo stabbed him. There's no dispute about that. Anthony was sitting, Austin was standing over him, getting ready to shove him, and he goes into the blade. So if the blade was 3.5 inches and the wound was 2 inches deep, people, what does that mean? It means he could not have stabbed at him as Austin was leaning in to shove him. Austin had to have been the one who fell on the blade. I'm sorry, but it seems pretty obvious to me. Like, this is self-defense. How could Anthony be the aggressor if he never fucking moved from his seat? That is literally stand your ground. And all of this could have been avoided if he had just minded his own business or gotten his coach. And the prosecutor kind of proves my point when he asked the doctor if there were any defensive wounds on Austin, and there were none. He already had his hands out to push him. He crossed that physical boundary and fell on that knife. There is never a situation when a person is sitting down and a person is standing up, physically impeding you, that person is not the aggressor. And if this was the opposite, this wouldn't have even been a trial. I have a feeling the defense is going to tell us that there is a documented history of aggression with Austin. Let's face it, the prosecution is resting on racism in this case. That's exactly why they struck all of the black jurors. They are just hoping that they will just gloss over all the inconsistencies in this story, because not a single person out of the 9 Witnesses that were there had a consistent story. And that's what the media is not telling you.
Straight to a hotel.
And I know you're going to be here at 12.
No, I ain't gonna be back up here because I'm not gonna deal with Jeff Metcalf and his racist ass shit.
What the fuck
Bullying
did he
people
do?
out of their damn seats.
What do you mean?
Bullying
Hold on.
him and his family bullied us out of our seat, which is the whole reason we're here in this trial. That's how this trial came to be, is because his kids are bullies and want to bully people out of their seat. And what did he do? He turned around and sat and did it to all of us inside the courtroom and laughed about it.
Because they got the first
So
two
where do you
rows.
think his kids learn to be bullies at? According to their environment. That's all I'm gonna say.
Austin, on the other hand, is a violent brute with some sexual rape allegations hanging on his ass. That's why, man, they coerce them kids. But one thing about kids can't lie to professionals under pressure. When you was told, when you gave a statement in the beginning, you can't come back and amend it later and say, well, I meant. No, what you said that night is law. Back up right up. All them white people talking about what they gonna do, they ain't gonna do shit, nigga. They ain't gonna do shit. When Makai Johnson and Galvin Long killed them motherfucking white police officers, you white motherfuckers didn't do a goddamn thing. Not no guilty. If you think they're gonna find him guilty and they just put manslaughter on as a charge and it wasn't on there in the beginning, you don't know law, cracker. You like the dumb white boy that had the whip. He can't spell either, nigga. Yeah. We already got the money set aside for appeals bond. Why? All white jury, the judge and the DA are buddies, along with the dad, best friends. That's been our trump card. We've been holding. We already knew that, but we wanted everything to play out how they had it. I can't wait till the family. We waiting on each other. Yeah. I've been riding with the family, nigga, since day one. I'm sorry, since day. So I told y'all last year the boys had dope in their system. I told y'all it wasn't a knife. It was a compass tool. It wasn't even long enough to get it. It wasn't even long enough to pierce his heart.
So if the blade was 3.5 inches and the wound was 2 inches deep, people, what does that mean? It means he could not have stabbed at him as Austin was leaning in to shove him. Austin had to have been the one who fell on the blade.
Tell me they can't find nobody that's a jury of his peers. A jury of his peers. I cannot believe Collin County dropped the ball like this here. I cannot believe, as racist as Collin County has been since they have existed. But you know what's happening now? They done let them kids that went to elementary school bring that.